ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Soaring Profits Live on Thursday night. My name is Patrick. As always, my guest host, James.
I am James. Let me tell you, let's say hi to Sia, who gave us all this great information. I no longer make little bubbles around my head, and I have a microphone so you can hear me. And it's all because of her. All that great advice. If you guys want advice on your podcast, go back to yesterday's, check out Sia. Sorry to interrupt there, Pat.
That was, yep. Well, anyways, after all of that, and again, thank you, Sia. We have a special guest today with us, Michael Corvese, who is of Purple Tongue Hot Sauce, a fantastic organization. As you can see, we matched up the purple this evening. Keep on brand with you, pal. And this is a real kind of through trials to triumph type story with Michael. Michael's family owned a bingo hall, or a number of them, over the province of Ontario. And over COVID, came across some struggles with, like everyone else, going through that. And he decided to pivot, and he came on the hot sauce business. And Michael, maybe you can tell us and everyone at home here a little bit about your story, the trials of what it started off with, and then where you are now, and kind of this unique rise that you had over the last little while. But thank you very much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me, guys. And a little upset that James didn't join us in the purple, but it's okay. All good. So,
I don't own purple.
As you had mentioned, yeah, our family had owned bingos. My dad's been in the bingo business since the early 70s. It just happened to be something that the entire family got themselves into. I got 3 older brothers, I got a step family, and we were all involved. And just during COVID, as everything else, got shut down. And with our industry, the entertainment industry, gambling, there was no timetable for it to reopen. So we kind of took it as an opportunity to just take the summer off, focus on ourselves, did a whole bunch of stuff around the house. And one of the things I did was focus on the garden. I have a fascination with super hot peppers. I've been making my own hot sauces for close to 10 years now. And just that year, I was like, you know what, I'm going to grow a whole bunch. Because I focused on the Reaper. Everybody was fascinated with the Carolina Reaper. So that's where I started from. But that year, I was like, I'm just going to go out and buy a whole bunch. So I did, grew a whole bunch in the garden. And towards the end of the summer, started making a whole bunch of different concoctions, different recipes, just mangoes, apple, like whatever. Like I ended up doing a carrot sun-dried tomato. I just was thinking of stuff that I liked, and just produced a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch that I never went to market with because they didn't work, but I still made them.
So were you, Michael, just so interjecting here, pal. So were you just a hot sauce enthusiast yourself? Like, where does this come from? How do you decide that this is going to be a thing? Jump all over it. Were you a hot sauce guy? Like every meal you're smashing stuff all over your food?
No, well, not originally. I ended up being that, but I've always been fascinated with spice and the fact that I could never eat it. I had zero tolerance as a kid growing up. I was always jealous of those that always wanted like spice on their foods. And when the Carolina Reaper became prominent, I think it was 2013 era, I was like, I gotta see this pepper. I have to figure out what this is all about. Because I'd watched a bunch of YouTube clips of people eating these things and just suffering. It was like, this is insane. So I got to try this myself. So that was the first plant that I ever got, was that. But I should also mention that one of my best friends, Richie Collins, he was growing a bunch of hot peppers years before I was. So when he started doing that, that's when it really dawned on me. He's like, you know what, I got to get into this. This looks so cool. He had all the different pots on his deck, like Scotch bonnets, Trinidad scorpions, like just you name it, ghost peppers. And I was so jealous of that. So he ended up making me a mango sauce at the end. I was like, I'm going to force myself through this because I want to create a tolerance. Loved it. So that's kind of how it all happened for me. So when it came to 2020 and having my own, all this time to make all these different sauces, it just kind of took it from there. I was like, I want to see where I can take these heat levels and where I can take these sauces. As I mentioned, I made a strawberry one, didn't work. But I made a whole bunch of other ones that did.
Yep.
So one day I happened to sit down with my wife, and I had probably 9 or 10 different concoctions, and they were all just in unlabeled bottles. And I just thought, you know what, I'm bored. I got nothing else to do. It's late in the year. There was no signs of our bingo hall reopening again. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go get a printer. I'm gonna create a label for all this stuff because I need to name all these sauces because I didn't know what was in half of the bottles. So I created this label out of my head. It was just quickly. My dog is a half husky, half chow. He's got a purple tongue. Cute little husky. Got this husky image. Purple. I put some purple in it. I made a circular logo and created originally that logo. So it was just simple. Avery labels. And one day I put an Instagram page together called the Purple Tongue Hotsauce, which was a side Instagram page. Obviously, my name was attached to it. So a lot of people were adding themselves to it. But I didn't know what to do with it because there was really nothing to that. There was no business at that point. And I happened to post that I had made a new carrots on dried tomato. I was watching some New York hot sauce expo videos just to because I was really getting into just hot sauce and I wanted to, it was like a sponge. I wanted to learn more about the industry and what people do, how they start their businesses, where they take, like the New York hot sauce expo was crazy. So I was really jealous watching a lot of that stuff. But one of the guys that was on there was going around and he tried a carrot sauce. I was like, wow, carrot. So I put together a recipe, made a carrot sauce, posted it on my Instagram page. And a friend of mine said, yo, dude, how much? I want to buy that. Like I collect hot sauces. And I simply just said, no, man, this is just for me. It's just a hobby. Having fun with it. But thanks for the interest. And then he wrote me on the side, go, no, dude, like I want to buy your hot sauce. So I put together a $15 figure because, I'm thinking of all the hot sauces in the States. Hot Ones was pretty prominent. And they were all going for anywhere from like 15 to 25 bucks. So I said, $15. Sure. Sent it to him. He loved it. He told another friend from high school. She got a bunch. And they were giving me some great reviews. They said they brought it to work and people were loving it. So I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll do something with this. So on my Instagram page, I just happened to post it, which was the Purple Tongue Hot Sauce Instagram page, saying, hey, everybody, thanks for adding yourselves to this. Probably wondering what this is all about. I've just been doing this in my spare time. Join me in my journey as I make stupid hot sauces. And this is what I've got. I've got a collection of my original 6. And I just had a bunch of people order. They said, like, dude, I want to buy some from you. And it was great support. Like a lot of friends and family stepped up. I'm assuming a lot of them because they knew our struggles with having lost our business.
Sure.
And it was quite overwhelming because at the time I really only had about 2 or 3 bottles of everything that I made in stock. It was just like, oh, okay, what have I done now? Like I've created a monster here.
Yeah, the genie's out.
I'm sorry?
The genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, and I think that was late November of 2020. And it was just like, we better go shopping. We got to get some bottles. We got to get some product because everybody's expecting this. And it was just before Christmas too. So everybody was expecting all these Christmas gifts. Yeah. So for the next 3 or 4 weeks, it was pretty hectic. I didn't get too much sleep, lost about 10 pounds in just under 3 weeks. I just had no time to eat, no time to do anything. And what I was doing is I was personally delivering it to everybody. So people were in Mississauga or in Etobicoke or in Brampton. Wow. I was personally delivering this because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have, Canada Post or the courier companies that I have now. Yep. So it's like, if you can wait 2 weeks, I will have everything ready. So when I had everything ready, it was this massive road trip around Southern Ontario for the most part. And I delivered everything, got everything done in time. And when it came to the first week of January, it was like, wow, that was overwhelming. There might be something to this. Got nothing else going on right now. Still waiting for a bingo hall to kind of get approved. And that's a whole other side story. But I focused on it. And I was like, this might be something. So I got all 6 of my bottles shelf life tested. I have a marketing background. So I got to Photoshop, actually produced a retail label, make sure I had all the requirements that Ontario or Canada needs for a retail space. Yep. And once those labels were in, I got all the shelf life testing in, everything was perfect. I started doing some mass productions. And, from that point, it was, where do I take this now? So one of the things that happened was I used to play in an amateur golf tour, the GTA Amateur Tour. There was a gentleman on that tour who bought one of my 6-packs. And he's like, if you want some good advice as to where to take this, I have a good friend I used to work with. His name's Eric Begg. He owns Soaring. Get a hold of him, and he would be more than happy to talk to you about how to start a company like this.
Right.
Which I thought was really weird because I'm going, okay, well, wouldn't this be like in my head? I'm going, there's no way I'm going to survive this because hot sauces are all over the place. You think of the States, and there's tens of thousands of them.
Right.
So, not so much in Canada. It's growing. But it was like, I don't know if a guy's going to really want me invading his territory, right? So anyway, I called him up, and he was the nicest guy. Still is the nicest guy. He's part of our hot sauce community that I've been welcomed into. And
wait, hang on. So there's a community,
a hot sauce community.
Hot sauce.
It's funny you say that, Michael, is because Pat and I have been talking a lot about that. Like these last few days, we met the beautiful Sia, who's in Brilliant Beam Media, and she does podcasts as well. And so she's introduced us to this like vast podcast society on LinkedIn. And her whole thing is that all ships rise together. And it's so interesting that you think that there's going to be a competition, and there really isn't. It's funny that you say that. So what was the first advice? Because obviously you became a bit of a mentor for you because he was ahead of the game. What was the first advice that you found really, like, wow, that's incredible. it's so important that I met you.
Well, just going back, trying to recall all the stuff, because we all give each other advice now. So I might be confusing some things, but I'm pretty sure the first thing he did was say, join these Facebook groups. There was a bunch of hot sauce Facebook groups like Chasing Capsaicin, Hot Sauce Lovers. I'm drawing a blank but there was just so many. He's like, get yourself involved in these. You'll see how the community really supports each other, which I thought was really weird. I'm like, what do you mean supports each other? It's like people actually get along here. This is absolutely, like, you're going to find that it's a very welcoming community. So right then and there, it kind of took my hesitancy towards getting into the game away. It was just like, okay, well, maybe there isn't for everybody. And as I've learned now over the years, we all do different stuff. Every company does different stuff. I might have a mango sauce, tastes different than your mango sauce. Right. But you'll know it because we all have our distinct ways of cooking something and certain ingredients that we like to put in, they may not like. So it was great. He gave me advice as to where to get some bottles, how to get labels done, just things like that. And he's like, if you ever need anything, just let me know. So I did go back and forth with him every now and then, just on just the simplest of things. So it was a very welcoming, entry into the market. Yeah. He also introduced me to a gentleman named Heiko Kriegsman, who is out of Ottawa. And Heiko's got a international brand called Heiko's Hot Sauce. And he mentioned to me that Heiko is going to be starting an online hot sauce store. And he's like, what you might want to do is I'll give you a referral to him, let him know. Because originally what we did was Eric and we swapped our 6 sauces. So he sent me 6, I sent him 6, and it was great. So I had his profile on my Instagram page to say, look, got a hot sauce friend in the market. And what he was telling me was,
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Well, I kind of do. When you say you swapped hot sauces, did you send his 6 so he sold your brand 6? Or you sent him the recipes for 6?
No. I just sent him 6 bottles. I had 6.
Okay.
I just sent him one of each of my sauces. Said, here, try them. And he sent me his 6 for me to try. It's like, okay, now I got a hot sauce buddy. It was great that way. Over the years, I've got a bit of a collection going here. But he did refer me to Heiko and just like, I'll give you a referral because I've tried your stuff. Your stuff's great. And I've got confidence in your stuff. And I've got confidence referring you to him. So he introduced me to Heiko and mentioned that he's got a online hot sauce store that he was going to start up. So I sent my 6 to Heiko. He ended up doing a Facebook post one day, and one of the sauces he was raving about was my honey garlic sauce. And so he was up north, Facebook video, and it was very kind of him to do this. So he kind of gave some notoriety to my company at the time. And one of the things he said was, this honey garlic sauce is incredible. And he was actually pouring it on the spoon and eating it on his video, and just mentioned my brand to the people that were watching, or the people on his page. And that was my real entry into meeting Heiko, understanding who he is, and understanding just how great this community is, because here's an international brand promoting my stuff now. And it was like, it was really nice to see that type of thing. I was also notified that Heiko was trying to start a Hotsauce Expo. They've been trying to do this pre-COVID, had COVID hit, couldn't get it off the ground, couldn't get it going in Ottawa, but they managed to get it going at Smoky Ridge Vineyard, just south of Ottawa. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into this. Absolutely. I would love to be a part of it. I'd love to see what this whole world is about. And so I joined into that one. And there is, for certain expos, there's awards or there's contests you can go in. So like, you can submit your sauces to be judged. And they had best mild, best medium, best hot, best extreme. And I submitted at the time my carrot into the medium sauce, my honey garlic into the hot category. And I threw my mango, which is technically at the time it was my hottest, but it's not hot enough for that category. I threw it into the extreme just to kind of see where it stacked up. And that was early June. The event was the last weekend of August. And so I had sent in the sauces to be judged, but in that time, I'd met so many other people. I met a gentleman named Jeff Davis. He owns Island Sun. He makes amazing sauces. Check these. You got to check all these guys out. We all make amazing stuff. Met Nico Hugendijk from the Capsaicin Cartel, who had actually heard about prior to me even getting into the whole game. So it's funny when you actually get to know these people, like, hey, I know your brand. And it was like, this is weird. This is weird getting to know these people.
The names kill me. The names kill me. The Capsaicin Cartel.
It's amazing. Amazing.
I love that. That's awesome. But it's the same kind of thing, Michael, exactly what you were doing, is that these folks have come up, they've decided that, you know, this hobby potentially, or just this passion that they've decided to turn into a business and then to grow it from there. I don't know if you can see the comments that we had up here. James has been throwing them up. But we have quite we've got quite a little group here of from the heart of Texas that are just ranting and raving about their hot capacity. And I think they're saying that they want to get you on one of their shows and see if you can burn their face off, because apparently they can handle it. So,
well, I will say I do make them on the hotter side.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I should mention. Prior to the Ottawa Expo, I did manage to get into, because what I was trying to do was I was trying to find hot sauce expos to get in, just to see where I stacked up, how this whole business works. And the London Expo was called Heatwave, was a week prior to the Ottawa one. And I'm losing my train of thought here. I got so many things that's going on.
There's a lot of information for you to pass on, and that's okay.
Well,
yeah, but no. So I know.
So you have a quick question. I'm just going to ask you: have you been on Hot Ones yet? Do you know that show where actors they read?
No.
They eat
I'll get to Hot Ones. I'll get to Hot Ones in a second. But no, there's no plans to do that. But I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, okay.
When I went to the London Expo, so you do sampling, and people would come to your tent and they would try all your stuff, and, you know, if they like it, they'll buy it, right? But it's more of a sampling branding opportunity. And I found it really shocked me. A lot of the things that people were saying was like, holy shit, like, your stuff is hot. Like, but it was confusing to me, because, well, isn't that what it's supposed to be? Like, are we producing hot sauces? Found a lot of the companies produce a lot of milds, a lot of mediums. And I think at the time there was a lot of hesitancy to really push levels. But because I'd already pushed levels, I didn't know any better. All my stuff was hot.
Hang on a second, Michael. I am not a hot, spicy guy. Like, we're talking about eggs are a little spicy for this Irishman. So when we talk about like generic spice, Tabasco, like, what does that sit in regards to what you guys are talking about and dealing with?
So if you're to refer to the Scoville unit of measurement, which is it's inexact science, but it's what people go by now. So if you were to look at the jalapeno pepper, it's rated anywhere between 4,000 to 8,000 Scoville heat units. Carolina Reaper could be anywhere between 1.8 million to 2.2 million. So you've got quite a gap, right?
Wow.
When with these sauces, I would say if I were to get them tested, which I never will because it's way too expensive to get the actual heat rating, I'm going to say they're anywhere between low hundreds of thousands to mid high hundreds of thousands.
So it is a flavor profile, not just burn my face off.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I'm not only like an interviewer, I'm also a fan because when I was there, I met Michael at a taco beer fest. Yeah. And I may have had a drink or two and started chatting with him. And he was so, like, as you can see, very good at talking. And the girl I was with had already bought a bunch of her sauces and said, you have to meet this guy. And so brought me over, introduced me, and then we kind of hit it off. And then I convinced him to go do the show then and there. But so I took, what you don't know, Michael, is I took your sauces back to her place and we got some burgers. And we put your hot sauce on some burgers, and delicious, but burn your face off. Like, in a good way. It's not like Frank's hot sauce burn and it's just burn. Like, it's not just pain. It's like flavor hot. If anyone understands what I'm talking about, it's the flavor hot, not the burn hot. You're not, your mouth doesn't hurt. It's just there's a lot of flavor, and it's a hot flavor, and it's delicious, man. On burgers, amazing. I could only imagine it on steak or any other ribs or whatever.
Which sauces were they?
Oh, I don't remember what sauce it was now. That was that's Beer and Taco quite a while ago. Right. And I don't have the sauces with me, but it was amazing. It was quite a warm sauce. I'm going to tell you right now. Well,
yeah. Well, pretty much everything I do is going to have a good heat. See, the one thing that I found just trying hot sauces over the years, like the hot sauce game has been elevated so much in the last 2 years. It's crazy how amazing it's grown, and you see all these companies producing amazing stuff now. But at the time, over the years, I'd say in the last 10 years, anytime I would try a hot sauce, it was either really hot or really bland. And it's just like, well, there's no, you got to have both. You got to have good flavor. You got to have heat. Like, there's got to be, like, why can't people figure this out? You can't just crush peppers into a jar and put vinegar in and say, here, try this. This is amazing. No, it's not. It's not amazing. It's just hot. Right. And it's not flavorful. Yeah. So my task when I do my stuff is to make them as flavorful as possible. And I don't skimp on recipes. I try to make them thick so they're not watered down. There's certain sauces that I have a pineapple soy sauce that is more of a cooking sauce. It's a soy sauce.
Pineapple soy sauce.
Yep.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
that is one thing I noticed about your sauce is that it was much thicker than the other hot sauces I had. The other hot sauces were more liquidy. So when I went to put it on, I had to do a little like Heinz side bottle tap, and I may have got a little bit more than I wanted, but it was still delicious. Yeah, it was good.
Well, I originally had small mouth bottles, and people were complaining that they couldn't get the stuff out, so I switched to the wider mouths now.
Nice.
But yeah, the focus was always making sure flavor and heat, always. Because the one thing, the thing you hear all the time when people come up to my storefronts or my booths or my markets, wherever I am, is like, are these flavorful and hot? Because, you know, if it's not, it's like, trust me, just try the stuff. I make sure I know myself what a bad hot sauce is. Like, it's not just heat. There's tons of flavor. So you'll enjoy it. And more often than not, people will.
Yeah. Now, do you tend to pair certain hot sauces with different foods? Again, I'm talking about like water is a little bit spicy to me any given day as a good Irishman, like I was saying. But when I'm sitting and having chicken, right? Frank's Red Hot every once in a while come out of the fridge. Tabasco, I'm just never been a real fan of. But like for all of our, Heart of Texas folks down there, barbecue, right? They do barbecue way different than we do it here. But like, what are some flavor things that you look at when you're trying to pair something together? Are you looking like a pineapple and like pork? Are you looking like how do you kind of marry that?
All my sauces are based on things that I love for the most part. So I love mango. So mango was the first one that I did based on the fact that my buddy had created a mango sauce. So that was the first one I wanted to do, was just make sure I could create a mango sauce. I love blueberries. So I was like, I need to create something for my breakfast. I love blueberry jam with my eggs. So I was like, I'm going to make a blueberry hot sauce. And it was great. And I love the fact that it was too hot for me, but I still plowed through it.
Right.
So all of the sauces that I made are just things that I love. Mexican is my favorite food. So the one thing that I did early on was I created a cilantro sauce for a spicy cilantro. So I made a cilantro lime and garlic sauce, called it cilantro lime. I love ribs. I love pulled pork sandwiches. I love applesauce. So I made an gala apple lime sauce. But the piece de resistance of what I've done, my favorite wing sauce is a honey garlic sauce. But now that I'm getting into the spice game, I was like, I don't know anybody that's created a hot honey garlic, or a good one for that matter. You go to a restaurant and you ask for a hot honey garlic. All they're going to do is they're going to get their honey garlic sauce and they're going to put it with their suicide sauce and say, "There's your hot honey garlic," right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I invested some time into it, and I wanted to make sure I created an amazing product. Now I also got to credit my wife on this stuff too, because she's given me she's given me some amazing advice. She's had some health issues over the years. She was diagnosed with breast cancer was it 2018 now?
Wow.
So she had to change her diet, and a lot of the stuff that she was eating before she had to change. So her nutrition changed. And when I was creating a lot of this stuff, she would look at the ingredients list that I would do and say, no, you can't, don't put that in there. So for instance, I used to put cornstarch in my honey garlic because it's just a way to kind of thicken it up a bit. She's like, Michael, you have to get off of that. Switch to tapioca flour. I was like, what? Okay, fine. The funny thing about that was my first foray into making the honey garlic, I had the recipe down pat, so I knew how to make it. But when she told me to switch to tapioca flour, I used the same increments, not realizing that tapioca flour was actually much thicker. So by the time I mixed it in, it turned out to be like cement. I'm like, what have I done? I've just wasted all this honey garlic. So learning.
Sorry, why not cornstarch? What's the reasoning?
It's just not as healthy for you.
Really?
The corn industry, there's a lot. It's just GMO.
Is it the way they manufacture corn? Because there's a lot of GMOs, like Monsanto kind of controls it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was switching to things like that, and like organic apple cider vinegar instead of just straight white vinegar.
Right.
Making sure I tried to put as much organic stuff in my product as possible. I'd also looked into what certain companies do to thicken their sauces. I didn't really need to do that, or preservatives for that matter. And I found through just doing the shelf life testing that I didn't need to put any of that stuff in my sauces. Like the vinegars that I put in, or the acids from the citrus, were good enough to hold these things. So I don't put xanthan gum in. I don't put citric acid in. I try not to put anything that shouldn't be in there. So if it's a cilantro lime sauce, it's going to be cilantro, lime, garlic, onions, peppers, salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil to start to season the stuff. And that's it. It's going to be pretty clean stuff. Like if you look at some of my ingredients, there's the honey garlic thing. There's 6 ingredients in there.
Wow.
So it's a matter of just trying to pick and choose the right ingredients to make sure that your sauces are clean, sauces are healthy, some more than others. You know, there's going to be high sugar content in honey. I can't do anything about that. But you look at my carrot, sun-dried tomato, the cilantro, there's no sugar. There's nothing in that because it's just all vegetables, vinegars, and peppers.
So Michael, right now you're direct to consumer, like you're selling solely through your website and social media?
Yep, I do that. I'm in a bunch of stores across Canada. So I've managed to find my way into some stores. I do markets. I'm just about to start my market season. I just set up in Ajax here. We're doing a rib fest this weekend. So
fantastic.
I just finished setting up my tent there. I'll be there all weekend.
What about B2C? Like, B2B, as far as doing business to business, are you looking at anything to get into, say, small boutique type market type stores, or?
Oh yeah.
So what does that look like? How are you promoting yourself to businesses? How are you promoting yourself to consumers? And let's look at the business.
I'll go back to the beginning of this, where because we lost our bingo hall, it was pretty bitter. I was pretty bitter that our business was shut down, but then I could go to Home Depot, I could go to Walmart, and I could go hang out with 1,000 people there. Yeah. Why couldn't I do that? So it was just like, I just couldn't understand this whole methodology of what should stay open and what should.
100%.
There was a bunch of businesses that had fought through these rules.
Yeah. So, Michael, again, I'm going to stop you here because we got a lot of people from the States on here tonight. Yeah. And I don't think they really understand what COVID looked like here in Canada, because we didn't get the media publications that a lot of the United States and different states did. And maybe you can, touch just really briefly on what that looked like and the ramifications for, a small business owner, and then, how you're trying to pull out after that. Whereas a lot of people, again, we got a lot of people from Texas, you got people in Florida that were a little bit more conservative states where they didn't shut down. They didn't do those things. And they don't have a real understanding of the bullshit we went through up here in Canada, for lack of a better
term. Absolutely everything was shut down except for Tim Hortons and Walmart. All the big brand stores, for some reason, didn't produce COVID, but all the small businesses and all the restaurants and all my friends that have small businesses, right?
It's like when you could walk into COVID. It's like when you can walk into a restaurant with a mask on, but you sit down and you take it off, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically what happened was we kind of knew something was coming. It was on the news. They're talking about it. This virus is hitting. So our bingo hall, I think it was the Monday that we were shut down. And it was the Friday, Saturday, Sunday where it's like something is happening. You could see it. You could hear it. You knew there was going to be some shutdowns. And I think we announced to our crowd Sunday night, this is going to be the last session for 2 weeks. And so we shut things down. 2 weeks, of course.
That's because it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah, that's what we were told here in Canada, that we were going to shut down everything for 2 weeks, because that was the I'm going to call it the gestation period, the developmental period of the COVID virus. And that,
I remember that in the beginning, it was all about, it was a time limit. We just have to wait till we have herd virus.
Immunity.
So, herd immunity, that's it. So everyone slowly kind of gets it, so the hospitals aren't overwhelmed. And it was all like, that part was just like, they just didn't know what to do. They had us washing groceries. They had us washing our hands and wearing masks that were ineffective, and closing businesses, which would be hard. So you thought 2 weeks, just like everyone else. So at the end of 2 weeks,
2 weeks turned into another 2 weeks. But because of the industry that we were in, we were told, you guys are not going to be open for at least 6 to 9 months.
Wow.
Just hard no.
And you're totally licensed. Like, you are under the Ontario Gaming Association, right? So that is an absolute provincial governing body, which would be like your state governing bodies. We do things a little different up here. A lot of oversight. It
would be like having a bar and saying, I'm going to stay open. And then the government just says, okay, well, I'm taking your liquor license away. It's the same thing. We'll just take your gaming license away. So if you open up, you're now legal and you're going to face criminal charges. So we were told, you're not opening up. You're going to be shut down. And we had immediately gone in touch with our leaseholder, our building owner, and mentioned to them, okay, like, we're shut down. We're not able to run our business. And they're like, we don't care. And our lease payments per month were $13,000. We had suggested to them, we will sit down with you guys. Let's work out an agreement. Let us pay back. When we're allowed to reopen, we'll pay back twice. We'll pay back $26,000 a month until all months have been paid. And they're like, no. And we just have one day sitting out back, enjoying the sunshine, and see the alarms going off in the bingo hall. Like, why is this guy walking around in our bingo hall? What's going on here? So my oldest brother drove out, and our bingo was not close. It's 40 minutes away, and gets there and sees that the doors were locked, and there was a notice on the window says that your building has been, or your bingo lease has been terminated. I was like, wow, they just terminated our lease. This is insane. Yeah. So immediately we lost our building. So even if bingo was to be open again in May or June, we had no building at that point because they turfed us. Yeah. So that's a whole other side story. But yeah, that's what it was, is they shut us down, and with no time limit to reopen. And it was funny because that, when I was telling you before about how I did that whole circle of delivering all my product, one of the people that I delivered to lived at Islington in the 401, and there was a Walmart there, and I had to go in to use the washroom. And I walked in, and this is second week of December of 2020. Right. And I'm telling you, it was elbow to elbow in there.
Yep.
And I'm like, why are these places open? And so it's a really, really, really
I
bitter.
feel you, Michael. I felt the same way walking around. Like I really truly believe that we needed to shut down some businesses and we needed to wear masks and stuff. But I think we went about it a little bit the wrong way. And I
Yeah.
think some businesses like Walmart and Tim Hortons may have had a little bit more monetary power, so we're able to stay open. But I'm with you. There were a couple of times I went to Walmart or some of the other stores and went, "This is not safe." Like these little arrows. Remember, you had to follow the path of the arrows, and you could only go one direction. And if you went the other direction, by all means, people just like lost their shit on you. Like they
funny.
really lost it.
Some of those stores still have the arrows down there. I laugh when I watch them. Like,
well,
but anyway, that's a whole other argument.
What bothered me the most, though, I have a few friends that like have bars and restaurants and stuff like that. So does Pat. And what the government was doing, it was going, okay, you know what, you can open up. What we want you to do is put up plexiglass, and you do this and you do that, and you can open up. And so they would buy like stock full of their freezers and their fridges. They'd be open for like maybe 3 days, and they'd be like, we changed your mind. It's not safe. And they would lose all of that meat. Yeah. And they, like some of them would like cook it for friends and family, but they would lose it all. And then a couple of days later, they'd be like, you know what? We decided you can open again if you have fans or whatever it was. There were a few times that they did that. Yeah. And it just seemed like a game to me. I don't know. So did you have to jump through hoops because you were selling sauce and you were selling it publicly? Were there hoops that you had to jump through because of COVID, because you were like right in that?
Not at all. No, it was actually fairly easy. So we were mentioning the whole COVID thing and business shutting down. And so the first store, as Patrick was asking me about, like how did I get in? How did I get my stuff, aside from friends and families, into stores and in people's hands? So the one person that I saw on YouTube, it was I think it was YouTube or it was somewhere online, was Bill Fair of a store called JW Foods in Scarborough. And he was fighting on behalf of small business owners. He was fighting the Ontario government just about mask usage, basically telling people, come to my store. I don't care if you wear a mask or if you don't wear a mask. This is Canada. This is all about freedom. You should have freedom to walk around. For the same reasons that I've been complaining about before, is why could I go to Walmart and shop with 1,000 people, but I can't have my own bingo hall with 100 people in there? So I gravitated towards people like him. And I happened to go there one day because I wanted to meet him. I wanted to meet this gentleman who was fighting on behalf of small businesses. And I walked in the store with my wife, and there's my wife. She's on.
Yeah, good timing. I was just about to say that was great timing. Hi. Yeah. Come say hi.
She's very shy. She's not.
Oh, she's beautiful. She shouldn't be shy at all.
So what ended up happening was we went to meet him, and I just had to meet this gentleman who was fighting on behalf of people like me.
Right.
And when we were there, my wife happened to mention, I don't know how the conversation started, but we got on the topic of the fact that I just started a hot sauce company.
Yeah.
And he's like, go get your stuff, put it on my shelf. And it was just like that.
Nice.
So I had it in the car. I went in and I think I probably had a couple of bottles of each. And he wrote me a check right then and there for a couple $100 for the price point that I sold it to him at. Immediately went home and said, hey, I'm in stores now. I was trying to show legitimacy to the product. And as I mentioned before with Heiko, he started the online hot sauce store. I'm seeing the comments. Thank you. My wife says hello to everybody. So I ended up getting on the Hotsauce, the online hot sauce. At the time, it was called the Online Canadian Hot Sauce Store. It's no longer in existence. But at the time, I got on there, so I was able to say, "Hey, look, I'm now on this online hot sauce store featuring only Canadian brands from across Canada."
Love it.
So what I would do is I would just kind of go to certain stores that I thought my product would do well in, introduce myself, say, "Here's I have purple bags. I get 6 sauces in. If you like them, please try them out. And if you want to carry them, please." And some people were pretty ruthless, like, "Don't bother me. get out of my store. It was really weird. So a lot of times I'm like, wow, like some people can be really cold hearted, but then there's other people that were really, really gracious, and Bill was one of them. And it just kind of started from there. But the greatest thing that happened to us for our company was, as I mentioned to you, the London Expo and then the Ottawa Expo. So I go to the Ottawa Expo, and over the summer, I got to meet a whole bunch of great people. And they invited us out there. So Heiko and his wife, Angela, said, there's going to be a pre-night party. You want to set up your tent the night before in the vineyard. Come on down on the Friday, and we're going to have some beer, some food, and we're just going to get to know each other. Because, again, everybody had been locked up in prison for 2.5 years, and a lot of people were just looking to get out. A lot of people haven't seen each other in so long.
Yep.
So I went with my oldest brother, Chris, because I was like, I'm going to need some help here. Like, it's just one of those things, or I can't do this on my own. So we came up, and we met all these people, and immediately got to know some really great people. But the point of the story is, the very next day, getting into the awards and all this stuff, like all the different categories. As soon as I arrived there, I had a bunch of people come up and saying, "You're the guy from Purple Tongue? I love your honey garlic sauce." I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm one of the judges." And then somebody else heard, and they're like, "Oh, you're Purple Tongue? Man, your honey garlic sauce is ridiculous. Like, wow, great sauce, great job." I'm like, "Well, that's a judge too." And I know Heiko was a judge, and he just raved about my honey garlic sauce in his Facebook group a couple of months ago. It's got some. I got
It's adding up.
Yeah.
I got some good vibes going on here.
Yeah,
So
good
anyway,
chance.
they start doing the categories, and they did it immediately. Other expos, they do it at the end.
Mhm.
Ottawa, Heiko, and Angela said, "No, we're going to do the beginning, because if you win an award, we want you to reap the benefits."
Yeah.
Right. So they start doing all the categories, and they start with mild. I wasn't in that, so I didn't worry about it. They do the medium. I wasn't confident that the carrot was going to win, but I was see what happens. Didn't win. So then it gets to the hot category, and they start announcing, in third place, so and so. It wasn't me. And now I'm starting to get nervous, because I'm like, okay, maybe I get second. And then they announced second place, and it wasn't me. I turned to my brother, and I said, could this really be happening? Like, and then they said, in number one, Purple Tongue hot sauce with the honey garlic wins the hot category. And I went, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, just to win an award that early on in my company's business is great. Yeah. So I go up to the stage, and they had the little stage set up there, because they were doing a whole bunch of challenges, hot pepper eating contests and stuff. So I went to the stage, and Heiko introduces me and says, "This is Michael. This is Purple Tongue hot sauce. Gave me the award." And as I was walking off the stage, his wife Angela grabs me on the taps me on the shoulder. She goes, "Don't go anywhere. Just wait." And there was still the extreme category to go, and I'm like, I know my mango is not going to win extreme. Like, what am I doing here? So they announced the extreme category. Of course, the mango did win. And then Heiko mentions, he goes, okay, what we're going to do now is every year we're going to award the best sauce overall. It's going to be called the King of Sauces.
Wow.
And through their judging, they did this pre-judging night, where for over a few nights, they had selected judges come to, a location, and they had all the bottles were unlabeled, and they did taste testings, and there was a scoring average and all that stuff. And they had a points system. And what he had mentioned was, we're going to award the sauce that had the most points out of all categories. And once again, it was Purple Tongue hot sauce with this honey garlic. And I was like, oh my God. Like, not only did I just win best hot, but I won best in show. It was like, holy, like, this is insanity to me. And so there was medals, there's trophies. It was just like, what's going on here? So I immediately went running back to the tent, because at that point now people started running over to try the sauce.
Right.
The funny part about that was, as I had mentioned to you guys before, the London Expo was the week before, and I didn't know what to expect. So I brought 6 dozen of all of my sauces to this expo. Better have more. There you go. There's the picture of me. It's right there. And so at the end of the expo, and it was 2 days in London, I brought home 5 dozen of everything. Like, I didn't really sell anything. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's more of a branding exercise, these things. So when it came to a week later going to Ottawa, my brother's like, don't pack all that. Like, you're not going to be selling a bunch. So I ended up I think I brought 4 cases of honey garlic, so 48 bottles, and a couple of cases of everything else. It just had a good feeling because of just the pre event vibes. Just through some of the friends, they were talking well of the honey garlic, saying, you know what, I'll probably sell more of this, right? And I got some great feedback the week before. So when it won, I went back to the booth, and it was just boom from 10 in the morning till about 1 o'clock. It was a lineup of people all day long. And me and my brother, we had to like double team and just kind of hit everybody up. And we'd sold everything out. Everybody there sold everything out. It wasn't just us. We had the benefit of having an award-winning sauce, which people were running over to our tents to get. But unfortunately, because of the week before, I didn't bring enough. So people were coming up, oh, I want the honey garlic. It's like, oh, sorry, I don't have it. But hey, I got some carrot here if you want a carrot. Right. So sold out everything. And it was amazing. There was just like, what just happened? And like even Heiko and Angela and everybody that was there, we all stayed in an after party that night and just reveled in it, how amazing that was. And it was just a great experience to know that there's so many good hot sauce companies out there. We all do good stuff. And we all had such a great weekend. Yeah. And it was just such a great way to kind of end the summer, go into the fall and the winter. And it was
also, Michael, probably a bit of a weight off your shoulders of, hey, shit, this might be a thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
Well, that
when you're pivoting after the old business that was devastated through COVID, then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what I'm doing really, but I'm going to give a shot at it. And then bam, you're winning awards. You're having all of this success. That's a fantastic feeling that you get to go back and, obviously brag a little to the missus, because obviously she's a very important part of this as well.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Not only that, Patrick, I did a little deep dive into his Instagram when I was doing some of the publicity for us. I need to learn how to talk. And so there's a video of him taking a shot of pure hot sauce.
Yeah.
And the reason he took a shot of pure hot sauce was for what, Michael? I think it's amazing that you're not only are you starting to kind of make money, you're getting some notoriety, but you're giving back. And that's the stuff that I think is beautiful. That's one of the things that I think is amazing about you. You're starting to do back to your community. So tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing? What did you do?
So what it's called, it's called the Sons of Fire. And it's actually a global chili club. And it's based off the Sons of Anarchy. So instead of it being a biker gang, it's a chili gang, And in Heiko and like Jeff Davis, as I mentioned, Eric Bagg, these guys were all in Sons of Fire prior to me meeting them all. And I'd seen the Facebook groups online, and I was like, what is this? And I tried joining them, but I was always getting kicked out. I'm like, what's going on? Then I realized these guys were part of it. So I asked them. And they said, it's a global community. There's a Canadian chapter, an American chapter. There's a South African chapter. There's a British chapter. And everybody's got their chapters. And what they do, it's all about charities. It's all about giving back to the community. Doing stupid things like chugging hot sauce to raise awareness for certain things. So, James, as you mentioned, the one I did was after, which hurricane was it? It was one of the hurricanes in the summer. So we were the one that decimated the east coast of Canada. And we were like, let's do something. Let's do a shot and let's raise awareness. We'll get donations in, and Canada will match all the donations that we raised. So we do things like that. And over the years, I had been nominated in. Heiko and Jeff and Eric asked if I wanted to join because they loved the passion that I had, and they liked good people. They wanted good people, like-minded people that shared in these types of things. Yeah. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I joined the club. We all got our leather jackets, and we've got Sons of Fire. There's a Grim Reaper holding the Carolina Reaper pepper on it. I wish I had that with me, but I don't have the picture of the leather jacket. But it's this community, and when we do big events, we all travel together. So like the London Expo, we all travel together. We stay in Airbnbs together. Ottawa, awesome. We're all partying together. So what we do is we try to show the rest of the world that Canada's got the best Sons of Fire club. That we do. We raise the most money, raise the most awareness for people in need. And it's just all about doing really dumb things like eating Carolina Reapers or doing like hang on. There's the Pocky one chip challenge.
Oh, what?
Things
I've
like
seen those.
cap guns.
Woo!
So, but all it is just you're punishing yourself and you're hurting, but you're doing it because you're trying to raise awareness. You're trying to get people that are watching to be entertained, to want to give. And that's what that was all about.
Just so you know, you got people that want you to come down to the Texas Festival in August. There's also a few of podcasters that want to talk to you because they want you on the show to do a heat test.
Sure.
And they really want to see Pat's reactions to your hot sauce. So all this might be in your future. I'm just saying. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are, Triple Dog dare Patrick to eat a Reaper. I'm in. I will set that up. See ya. For sure, we're going to get Pat eating a Reaper, and maybe Michael can judge whether or not he keeps it, chews it, and swallows it enough.
So like legitimately, the spicy Doritos are about where I live. That's like me going like, I'm done.
Well, then you cannot have Michael's hot sauce. You stay away from the purple tongue hot sauce because
the Reaper
it's a little
is
bit
not
spicier.
Yeah, it's not something to mess with, eh? Yeah,
it's insane. Like it's about 5 to 8 minutes of insanity where you can't control what's happening. It's just an absolute fire.
Why?
But it's not even just in your mouth. It's when it starts getting into your belly. That's the problem. So there's a thing called capsaicin cramps. Yeah. And it's not what you think it is. Well, it is what you think it is, but really what it is it's your stomach intestines kind of twisting, kind of like going into shock, like hemorrhaging, like what's going on here? And it's your body's way of trying to protect you. But what it does is it twists your stomach. So you're not only are you on fire and your stomach's on fire, but you're also having this awful cramp right in the middle of your stomach because of your stomach muscles just going, what's going on in here? And you have to just kind of ride it out. And it's not fun.
It sounds like you've done this.
Yeah. Many times. Many times.
After the first time, what would possess you to do it again? I'm shocked.
We're dumb. There's a thing called the League of Fire where you can do these challenges and get points, and there's a point system. And it's a global thing where you join up with this club. So for instance, like the cap gun, I think if you complete it, it's like you do a spoonful of Carolina Reaper powder, a shot of tincture or a shot of hot sauce, and there's something else in there too. And you have to do it all within 5 minutes and then ride it out. And you have to time yourself. And if you do it and you complete it, you upload the challenge to the League of Fire website and they give you points for it. And people race to be the League of Fire champion. So it's just things like that. You'll be surprised. Like guys
so
like
do you have to be a hot sauce maker to be in the League of Fire championship?
Absolutely not. No.
Anybody.
So, for instance, there's a guy named Mike Jack. He is a world record holder. He's got a lot of records for eating Reapers. He's actually in New Zealand right now. He's I think he's doing there's so many different challenges, but he's going down to do a world it's like a world belt match where it's whoever can eat the most Reapers, and I think it's against Greg Barlow. So he's Aaron Jules is another guy from Stratford, Ontario. You have to follow this guy. He's Monster Heat on YouTube. Funny guy. And he just punishes himself, and it's the most entertaining stuff. And the good thing about these things too is it's not all about ego. Like a lot of guys will go on and say, "Look, I'm not even reacting to the Reaper. Like I'm fine." But then you know they're burning, and then as soon as they cut the video, they're running to the bathroom or they're doing whatever to kind of ease their pain. Whereas Aaron loves to show, I'm in pain, and sometimes he'll end up barfing on camera. Oh, and those are the funny thing, but it's just pure entertainment. But these guys have this fascination with this heat. It's an addiction. It's a rush. It's an endorphin rush where once you do it and you come down, it's like, oh man, like I'm really, really high off of this capsaicin rush. It's crazy.
Well, I'm 100% willing to get Patrick to do it. We have a few people that are interested in trying to raise money to get Patrick to eat one of these things. So we may have to set one of these up maybe at one of your competitions there. We'll get Patrick to eat a hot pepper.
I'm down with some of your hot sauces. A kick in the nuts is not what I'm in line for, but like some of the stuff. And again, I think I've seen some of those contests where the pepper and it's Scoville, correct?
Yeah.
The meters are off the charts. Like these guys are purposefully designing these peppers to just basically explode your asshole at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. You know, they're creating new variants of these peppers every year. So the Carolina Reaper is technically the world record holder, but the gentleman that created that pepper, Ed Curry, oddly enough, his last name's Curry, out of South Carolina. He owns Pucker Butt Pepper Company, created the Reaper, but he's also got another pepper he's going to be releasing soon called Pepper X, which is supposed to be even hotter. So every year you're seeing all these variations of guys just trying to create hotter and hotter and hotter peppers.
What about Da Bomb? We got somebody that's coming in here and saying Da Bomb. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yeah, Da Bomb it's an extract sauce. So if you hear things like extracts or like capsaicin crystals, they're just super concentrated forms of a pepper sauce. I'm not going to get into how, because I'm not sure how they actually create extracts, but it's a super concentrated form of heat. So all of my hot sauces, it's just the natural heat from the peppers. Whereas this stuff, it's almost in a natural kind of way to create the heat. So when you have things like Da Bomb, they use these extracts in these sauces to create a super, super, super high heat. And I think Da Bomb is considered to be an 8 million heat level. It tastes like metal cleaner. It's not flavorful at all. It's more of a
again, you know what this tastes like, so this means you put this in your mouth.
I've tried it because my brother and my nephew they collect all these stuff, so I've had it there. But it's chrome cleaner. It's disgusting. Like it's.
But
not
then you know what chrome cleaner tastes like too.
It smells like chrome cleaner.
Interesting story, Patrick. The reason he knows what chrome cleaner tastes like.
3 o'clock in the morning, I've mixed some crazy shit together in a fit, but never hit the chrome cleaner quite yet.
Yeah, Pat collects scotch. I collect a little bit of vodka. We drink that, but we've never drank Da Bomb.
I collect scotch as well. So we have a good shot on that.
Nice.
Well, it sounds like we got a party.
No, so what you were saying your next event is this weekend? Is that correct?
So I'm doing the Ajax Rib Fest this week.
Okay.
I'm going to be on site all 3 days, showcasing all the sauces I've got. I've now got 12 sauces. I've collaborated with 2 companies now. Yep. There's Beau's Brewery out of Van Cleek, Ontario. They got a hold of me and asked if I wanted to join forces with them. A variation of my mango sauce. So Jennifer Beauchesne from the company messaged me and asked if I would be interested. So we got to talking, and she wanted me to produce my mango sauce with their beer in it because they were releasing a new hazy IPA called Juiced AF. So it's juiced as fuck. And the methodology or the thinking behind it was it's a 6.5% alcohol beer. Really smooth, drinkable summer drink. You drink it like in a couple of chugs, but because it's 6.5% alcohol, she figured somebody that's going to be drinking that probably likes bold flavors, bold foods. And we thought maybe we'll partner up with a hot sauce company and do a little partnership there. So that's where I fit in. Sure. So she messaged me. We got to talking. I produced it. So I ended up producing the Juiced AF hot mango for them. And that is essentially that's their beer can that they've recreated into my label.
Can you put that back up there for a
second?
Sure. So Juiced AF. So Beau's Brewery, their logo is the tractor right there, right?
Okay.
So this is now a juiced up version, so you can see the tractor's kind of going crazy. So it's Juiced AF, and it's me adding their hazy IPA beer into my mango sauce. So we've partnered up, we collaborated that way. They did a big release at the end of April, I think it was. They launched their beer, and so I had to have, I think it produced 400 bottles for them, and they were putting in these little gift packs, sending them off to just some of their VIP customers. They sell it in their brewery, and yeah, so that was a beautiful little collaboration because I've always wanted to team up with the beer company. Like there's a lot of hot sauce companies doing that with beers, and I was like, oh man, like I really want to do that. And just I woke up one morning and I was really down on myself. I just, it was early in the season. It's just like, man, like you just start doubting yourself just for no good reason, right?
Absolutely, but That's the whole thing, right? When you're starting that connection, that group, it takes that little bit of doubt out of your mind and keeps you going, right?
Well, when I got that message, it's funny. I got through the website, and whenever I see messages through the website, it's usually a scam. It's usually
Right.
somebody from South Africa wanting 5,000 bottles, and I have to get a hold of another shipping person to it.
Yeah.
So when I see those messages come through, my first reaction is, what is this now? And I started reading, and it's like, hey, it's Jennifer from Bo's Brewery. Would you be interested? I was like, what? So I read it again, and I was like, this is legit. Like, this is actually somebody wanting to partner up with me. And I was like, and I just immediately went through the roof. Like, I was so happy. Like, absolutely wanted to do that. And Bo's Brewery, like, they create Lugtread, well, one of their many beers, and Lugtread's amazing. So they're like, they're considered like a microbrewery still.
Yep.
But they make fantastic stuff. So to be able to partner up with them on that, it was amazing for me. And then another one of the expos that we did through Heiko and the community was there's a gentleman named Dylan Lowry out in Lethbridge, Alberta. He's part of the Sons of Fire group too. And we were saying to him, you need to get a hot sauce expo going out in Lethbridge because he owns a hot sauce store called Beyond Hot. You should check it out. It's amazing. He's got one of the best hot sauce stores in the world. BeyondHot.ca. Check him out on Instagram. He takes you through all the stuff that he's got, and he's focusing a lot on Canadian stuff. So we got to know him through the Sons of Fire and all that, and we convinced him to do the Lethbridge Hot Sauce Expo, of which we all flew out to. And this was in March. So myself, Heiko, Jeff Davis, we all flew out there. And we met a whole bunch of hot sauce companies from BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan. Adam Buxton from Saskatchewan came out. So there's Beyond Hot right there.
Now, were they in malls?
Beyond Hot, I don't think they're in malls. I think he just produces the stuff for himself in his store.
What's the hot sauce companies that I've been seeing popping up in like shopping malls?
Oh, that's like Pepper Palace and Chili's.
Right.
They focus on a lot of. I'm sorry?
They're just a retail avenue. Like these guys aren't manufacturing their own brands. Like this is something that they're going out, independent contractors like yourself, wholesaling their products.
Yeah, for the most part. Pepper Palace is a little different. They focus more on American stuff. Chili's out of Ottawa. They do focus. They're a little bit more Canadian centric, I guess, in a way. Not as much as they should be. I'm not in that store.
Okay.
But anyway, so Dylan created the Lethbridge hot sauce. So the Ottawa one is called Heating Up the Capital. The Lethbridge one is called Heating Up the Prairies. We all flew out there. Again, the same thing. They did judging. We all sent sauces in to be judged. Fortunately enough for me, my stout barbecue ended up winning best medium there. So I got another award there. Cool. My mango won second place in the extreme. So I've been winning awards along the way, which has been great. It's a great way for me to feature my stuff. But getting back to Dylan, because I'd won a few awards there, legitimacy to my company.
Right.
I'd actually partied with him many nights because we had an Airbnb there. And I just released my new chocolate mole. I'm fascinated with Mexican foods, and I wanted to create a mole sauce. So I created that one. I brought it out. I had a tester. He tried it. He loved it. And when I got home, he messaged me. He's like, I'd like to do a collaboration with you. Let's do something together. And I was like, fantastic. And we had created a Nashville Hot, which is this one right here. So you'll notice that I've got, instead of my cute little doggy front and center on the label, we're now collaborating, and I've got his Beyond Hot logo in place. Absolutely. So we created this Nashville hot sauce, which I wasn't really too familiar with. And we went through just the ingredients, which should be in it, which shouldn't be in it. And he's like, we call it Nashville North. We'll throw some maple syrup in there, give it a little Canadian content. And we worked on it for, a good month or two, sent him out samples and like, here's what I'm thinking, try it out. And we settled on a recipe. And once we settled on the recipe, I created mass production of it. So I would say mass production, but still small batch. So mass production for me is to create like 200 bottles. And sent him half of them. He's selling them in the store. And he's telling me it's become one of his biggest sellers. That it's on track to be
That's
like
awesome.
top 3 sellers that he's got. And everywhere I go now, I profile these 3 new sauces that I got: the mole, the collaboration with Bo's Brewery, and the Nashville Hot. And the Nashville is great. Like everybody that tries it loves it. And it's one of the whenever I create a new sauce, I'm always hesitant for people to try because I don't want bad feedback. To me, it tastes great, but for somebody else, it's
Yeah.
just like because it's like a gut punch. It's an ego shot. But I've been hearing stupid things like it's my best sauce. It's better than my
Amazing.
honey garlic and things
Yeah.
like that. So when I hear stuff like that, I just had a guy from the bottle company that I deal with. He messaged me tonight, and every time I go pick up bottles, I usually have a new sauce. I'm like, hey man, try this out. Let me know what you think. And he just messaged me tonight, 2 minutes before we went on. It's like, dude, this is your best sauce by far.
Cool.
And I
Tell
was
me
like,
something
wow.
about black lava maple syrup.
So the black lava maple syrup was something I started noticing other companies doing. Eric Begg from Soaring Sauce was one of the first guys I noticed doing it. He made a habanero maple syrup, and I was like, I got to try this. This is amazing. So he sent me a bottle. Loved it so much that I had to make my own. I had these peppers called Black Lava Apocalypse sitting in the freezer, just screaming for something to be screaming for a sauce to be thrown into. One of the gentlemen that I do the farmers markets with, he does maple syrup, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a hot maple syrup. What do you got? And he showed me, and he has a dark, very dark maple syrup. I wanted something that was rich. I wanted something that was dark. So immediately I was like, I can throw my Black Lava Apocalypse into the very dark maple syrup, and I'm going to call it Black Lava Maple Syrup. And that's all it is. It's just throwing the maple syrup back into a pot, cutting up the peppers, letting them do what they do inside the maple syrup, blend it all up, jar it up, and
Amazing.
rebottle it.
Well,
And that's what it
apparently,
is. So it's a
Put it on
spicy
some
maple
pork.
syrup.
Have you tried it on pork?
Absolutely. You can put it on anything. It's well, I started putting it on pancakes and waffles. So my wife, with like again, like her nutrition and stuff like that, she makes a lot of amazing vegetarian and vegan meals.
Nice.
Yeah.
She started making her own vegan pancakes. So they're amazing. They're so much better than like restaurant because they don't feel awful. You don't feel full. Like just the ingredients she uses are amazing. And of course, I like my maple syrup, so I would put my maple syrup on her pancakes. And the first, she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you ruining my pancakes?" I'm like, "I'm not ruining pancakes. I'm making them better. This is amazing." So I started doing it with waffles, and then when people were buying it, they would tell me they would put it on fried chicken. My neighbors,
Sure.
whenever I would do tests stuff, I would be like, "Neighbors, their name's Dan and Angela. They are my guinea pigs." And I'm like, "Dan, I'm coming over. I got a new concoction. I need you to try. Like, I'm working on this. Let me know what you think." So they've been instrumental in all this stuff too, I gotta say, because they kind of give me the confidence. If something's not right, they'll let me know it's not right and say you're missing something here. And they've done that many times. So they've really helped me kind of craft the stuff. But one night he's like, "Dude, come on over. We're having a fire. We're gonna create some ribs and wings with your hot maple syrup." It was amazing. So you could do so much more. Like people come up to my booth and say, what do you put the hot maple syrup on?" Like that sounds insane. He said, "You put it on everything you would normally put your maple syrup on. If you like spice, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Put it on ice cream if you want. I don't care. Put it on
Well, the girl I was with literally went to your show, went to your booth first, and then cracked one of your sauces and started going to the taco stands because you could get tacos.
Yeah.
And she was using your sauce on all the tacos.
I love it.
Because your sauce was way better than anything they had sitting there. It was she just loved it. She was a big supporter, big fan. Now you mentioned that your mass production. So what is your mass production? Like, do you have a factory? Do you have a wife and a kitchen?
Well, I have that. I am licensed to work from home, but I'm now at that point now where the commercial kitchen is where I need to be. So there's a place called Dish Play in Whitby that has everything that I need. So I just use that.
So you're at the Rib Fest coming up in Ajax this weekend, or is that next weekend?
It's this weekend, like starting tomorrow.
Perfect. And how many people do you think they're expecting to get through there for you?
Well, they estimate about 30 to 40,000 people going
Fantastic.
through.
Well, Michael,
So-
I think on that note, I think it's a great way to wrap up there. Those of you who have stayed with us tonight, check out Michael. Get to that Ajax Rib Fest. You're going to have a great meal. You're going to meet some interesting people. And obviously, Michael, I appreciate you coming on here tonight. You've been fantastic. You're a heck of a spokesperson for your brand. You're obviously doing something right in the kitchen, whipping that stuff up. And again, I want to thank you. I want to thank your wife for joining us as well this evening.
Yeah.
And everyone that was commenting tonight. I really appreciate you guys jumping in here and showing some support. And we've got a lot of projects that Mike's going to have to jump in on in regards to all these taste tests and orders to fill, it sounds like. So from me, Michael, this is kind of a point in the show where when we started in the green room, we kind of said to you that there's no gotcha questions. And in that process, I always give you a gotcha question at the end of the interview. And the gotcha question is that we both have our little slogan that we sign off on, and you get the final word. Someone like yourself, coming from the COVID crisis, dealing with that and where you are now in the successes, maybe something a little inspirational, however you feel to sign us off, but that's the way you go. So from me, folks, thank you so much for joining us on Thursday Night Live with Soaring Profits. And as always, folks, thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us. And let's make some money together, guys.
That's right.
Hey, guys. And you know what? Thank you so much, Michael, for coming on. We do have one question. Can you send it to Texas?
Of course.
Do you send to America? Okay.
I sent it all over the
everyone
world.
out there.
I've sent to Singapore. I've sent to Scotland. I sent to the States. Absolutely. I can do that.
So basically anyone watching the show, hop on his website, Purple Tongue Hotsauce.com. And order up some sauce because I'm telling you right now, it's delicious sauce. I know, I've tried it. It's amazing. Coming up this weekend, I am running in a half marathon. It's my second half marathon ever, but it's near and dear to my heart. It's the Ottawa Marathon where you get to pick something you can raise money for. So I've picked multiple sclerosis. My mom died of multiple sclerosis, and I really hope that no one has to go through the awful things that she went through. So I have been raising money, and this weekend it comes to fruition. I'll get to run. I plan on trying out some lives while I'm there, maybe interviewing a few people. We were supposed to last week interview Ian. Unfortunately, Ian was so busy he couldn't get to us, but we are planning very soon, maybe next week. We will talk to Ian afterwards, or maybe I'll get him on the fly while we're there, so we'll be able to talk to Ian and what it's like to set up a huge marathon. I want to thank all the people out there for coming and commenting and having a chat behind the scenes. Michael, I encourage you to take some time to look back and read all these comments.
Oh, absolutely.
Some wonderful comments, and also some people who want to connect with you and do some things. Sure. And I think it's amazing what you're doing to come from a place of basically ashes, where you've lost everything. You don't know what you're going to do. Spark an idea, and then you're motivated to greatness. And now you're a success. And that's the kind of thing we love watching on Soaring Profits. Yeah, not only are you a success, but you take the time to give back to the community. And I just love that. So if you're out there right now and you think that you're at a low point, listen to Mike. Mike pivoted, found something better, and now he's having the time of his life making hot sauce, and you can too. You just got to know what your skill is and jump on it. And let's get out there and heal our minds, bodies, and souls together. Michael, it's all you now, buddy. Go ahead.
Well, first, just thank you, James Patrick, for having me on. To be able to tell my story is amazing. So I thank you for that. But just as you touched on, it's all about community. And the one thing that I would say to people is support small businesses. Small businesses got decimated in Canada, decimated. And if there's one thing you kind of learn over the last couple of years, is that there's some pretty shady powers that be, really elite level powers that be, that have really opened up some people's eyes to you know what, something's not right in this world right now. And it's the small business community and people supporting people like myself, people like Bill Fair from JW Foods, supporting people like myself, allowing us to get our stuff on the shelves. It's those small businesses that really do make the communities go. It's not Walmart's, it's not the Home Depots. Those are just luxuries to be able to go somewhere quick and get mass production stuff. But if you want quality, if you want to really support, you really want to put your money to good use, support small businesses everywhere. Go to farmers markets. We do farmers markets every week. Go to a farmers market. Buy your produce there.
Yeah.
Don't go to Walmart and get your produce there. You get some of the best farms in Ontario are in these places. Some of the best producers of like clothing, just hot sauces. The Durham Distillery, for instance, is one of he's a small business too. He's starting it from nowhere. Chris Ferguson, he's Ajax. I'm doing the Rib Fest with him this weekend. There's so much happening in small business world right now that you'd be surprised. So go and check it out. Go see a farmer's market. You'd really be surprised. It's not just old ladies with like little knitting stuff and potatoes and a watermelon. There's so much going on. We're doing the Bowmanville Farmers Market every Friday, and there's 45 vendors there. You know, we do Whitby on Wednesday. We do Pickering on Tuesdays. There's so much. Support small businesses. I beg of you. It's what we need to do to survive.
I couldn't have said